That thing you are chasing right now, the money, the respect, the house, the promotion, the body. I need you to hear me clearly. It is not going to give you what you think it will. I know because I chased all of it for 50 years, and I got most of it. And I am here to tell you what was waiting for me at the finish line. My name is not important. What is important is that I am 75 years old, and I have spent enough time on this earth to know the difference between a life that looks right and a life that feels right. For most of my years, those two things had nothing to do with each other. I grew up in a small house in Ohio with four people in three rooms and not enough of anything. My father worked at a steel plant his entire adult life. Came home every evening with his hands wrecked and his back bent and his eyes already somewhere far away before he even sat down at the table. He was a good man, a quiet man, and the world treated him like he was invisible. I watched that from the time I was old enough to understand what I was seeing. I was maybe 9, 10 years old, and I made a decision that I did not even have words for yet. That is not going to be me. I am going to be somebody. I am going to make enough money and earn enough respect that nobody looks through me like I am not there. So that is what I did. I worked. Lord, I worked. 50, 60, 70 hours a week for decades. I missed things I cannot get back. My son's first baseball game. My daughter learning to ride a bicycle. Dinners, birthdays, ordinary Tuesday evenings that I now understand were not ordinary at all. I was building something. I told myself that every time I chose the office over the kitchen table, I told myself, this is temporary, this is investment. When I get there, when I finally get there, I will slow down and be present and enjoy what I built. I got there at 52, vice president, corner office with my name on the door, people calling me sir with their eyes down, a salary that would have seemed like a foreign language to the boy in that small Ohio house. And I sat in that corner office on the day I got the promotion and I waited to feel it. The feeling never came. Not nothing, exactly. Something. But not the thing I had been promised by every story I had ever told myself. It felt like climbing a mountain for 20 years and reaching the top and finding not a view but another mountain, taller, already waiting. I did not understand what had happened for a long time, nearly 20 more years if I am being honest with you. I am a slow learner when it comes to the things that matter. Here is what I finally understood. I was never chasing money. I was never chasing the title or the office or the salary. Those were just the shape the chase took. What I was actually chasing was a feeling, the feeling of being enough, of mattering, of being worthy of the space I was taking up in the world. That is what I was after every single hour of every single working day for 50 years. And here is the thing that took me until I was nearly 70 to fully absorb. That feeling cannot be earned. It cannot be achieved. It cannot be given to you by a job title or a bank balance or a room full of people who call you sir. I could have given that feeling to myself at 25. I could have simply decided without any evidence, without any achievement to point to, that I was enough, that I mattered, that I was worthy of being here exactly as I was. I did it at 68 instead. That is 43 years I spent trying to earn something that was already mine. Let me tell you what happened to my marriage, because the same mistake wore a different face there. I thought love was provision. I thought if I gave my wife the house she wanted and the car and the vacations and the security, she would be happy and we would be happy, and that would be the proof that I was a good husband. So I provided. I provided with everything I had. I was exceptional at providing. What my wife wanted was me, present, at the table, looking at her, hearing her, not planning the next quarter while she talked about her day, not nodding from behind a newspaper, actually there. We nearly lost everything when I was around 50. Not because I had failed, because I had been absent for 20 years while standing in the same rooms as my family. She told me once, and I have carried these words ever since. I do not need the money. I need you to look at me like I am the most important thing in the room, because I used to be. And somewhere along the way, I stopped being. I did not know how to hear that for a long time. I thought presence meant physical location. I was home, wasn't I? I was right there. What more did she want? It took me years to understand the difference between being somewhere and being there. They are not the same thing. They are not even close to the same thing. Now, I am 75. Most of my close friends are around my age. Some older, a few are already gone, which is its own kind of education. I have noticed something about the ones who are miserable. They are still keeping score. I have a friend, 79 years old, and he is still bitter about a promotion he did not get in 1987, 39 years ago. He is carrying that around like it happened this morning. Still measuring himself against men he worked with 40 years ago. Still looking over fences at what other people have. Still waiting for something outside of him to shift so he can finally feel okay inside. He is going to wait until he dies. Then I have other friends. And these people have something I cannot fully name, but I recognize it immediately when I am around them. A lightness, a settledness. They are not trying to prove anything to anyone. They are not keeping score. They wake up in the morning and they are curious about the day. They enjoy what is directly in front of them without spending that enjoyment worrying about what comes next. My friend George is 78. Small apartment, fixed income, knees that give him trouble on cold mornings. And this man is more genuinely at peace than anyone I knew when I was at the height of my career, surrounded by people with everything. George told me something once that I wrote down and kept. He said, I spent 60 years trying to become something. Now I am just trying to be here. And being here is so much better than becoming something ever was. That is it. That is the whole thing right there. It is not money. It is not health, though that helps. It is not even family, though that matters. It is whether you have stopped running long enough to be where you actually are. Here is what real freedom feels like, because I want to be specific. Real freedom is not a number in a bank account. I know people with more money than they could spend in 3 lifetimes, who are prisoners inside their own heads, worried about everything, unable to sit still, unable to enjoy a meal without checking their phone. Real freedom is when the things that used to control you stop controlling you. When someone says something cutting and it moves through you instead of lodging in you. When you stop needing everyone in the room to approve of you before you can feel solid. When you can stand in front of a mirror and see a 75-year-old man looking back and say, yes, that is me. I am at peace with that. Real freedom is not needing anything outside of you to be okay inside of you. That takes most people a lifetime to find. Some people never find it. They die still running, still measuring, still certain that the next thing will finally be the thing that makes them feel whole. I want to tell you about the trap, because I think it is important to name it precisely. The trap is this. You believe that once you get the thing, you will be satisfied. You will finally be able to rest. You will feel it. I paid off my house at 58. I had worked toward that for 20 years. I thought I would feel free. I thought something would lift. You know what happened the week after I made the last payment? I started worrying about retirement savings, about healthcare costs, about whether the market would hold. The fear did not go anywhere when my circumstances improved. The fear just found new material, new shapes to fill, because the fear was never about the house. The fear was inside me, and circumstances cannot reach that far in. The fear leaves when you change, not when your life changes. When you change, when you decide on some unremarkable morning that you are not going to let it run you anymore. When you decide that you are okay right now, today, with everything exactly as it is, without waiting for conditions to improve first. That is an inside job, the most important work of a life. And it is the work that nobody tells you to do when you are young and building and certain that you are on the right road. Everything I spent 50 years chasing, the title, the salary, the respect, the security, I did not actually want any of those things. What I wanted was to feel safe, to feel like I mattered, to feel loved. And I was looking for all of those feelings in places that could not hold them, in my job, in my bank balance, in the way other people looked at me when I walked into a room. Those feelings were available to me the entire time. I did not need to earn them. I needed to accept them. To accept that I was already safe, already worthy, already enough, without a single piece of external evidence to support the claim. That sounds simple, I know how it sounds, but it took me 50 years to stop arguing with it, and I am still practicing. 75 years old, and I am still catching myself keeping score, still catching myself measuring, still catching myself waiting for the next thing to make me feel complete. The difference now is that I catch it, I see it for what it is, and I put it down. Young people think happiness is at the end of the road. I thought that too. I thought if I just kept moving forward, kept building, kept achieving, I would eventually arrive somewhere that felt like enough. There is no arriving. There is only here. There is only this. The conversation you are in right now. The meal in front of you. The person sitting across the table. The ordinary, unremarkable Tuesday that is, if you are paying any attention at all, your life. If you cannot find peace on the way to where you are going, you will not find it when you get there. I have been there. I know what the arrival feels like. It feels like another mountain. So here is what I want you to take from everything I have said. Stop telling yourself you will be happy when. That sentence is a thief. It has been stealing from you every day you have believed it. Whatever you think you need before you can finally be okay, you do not need it. What you need is to decide right now, today, with your life exactly as it is, that you are enough. Not when you get the promotion, not when you pay off the debt, not when the kids are grown or the house is finished or the diagnosis comes back clean. No, you are already enough. You do not have to prove it. You do not have to earn it. You just have to stop running long enough to notice that it was always true. I am 75 years old. I have made more mistakes than I can count and chased more wrong things than I care to list. But the one thing I know with complete certainty is this. Everything you are looking for is already inside you. You just have to stop long enough to find it.